Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rahul, and today, welcome back to today's session from PyCray Force, sponsored by PyCray. Today, we will be talking about one of the interesting areas about product thinking and why every tech role need it, and whether it be product manager, whether it be front-end developer, whether it be back-end developer, whether it be QA, whoever is working in the tech industry, they need to have product mindset as of today. So, in today's session, we will be discussing more about how to develop the product thinking, how to put it in your work, in your daily work, and create a habit of every problem which you tackle to solve it utilizing product thinking. And that's what we do here in PyCray. The products which we develop, the solutions which we develop, the problems which we solve, we kind of utilize the product mindset. And here is the thing I want to get out of the way right at the very start. This session is not for PMs in the room. It is for every single one of you. Uh, Whether you want to join a QA, whether you want to become a BSA, whether you want to become a front-end developer, whether you want to become a back-end developer, or anyone who wants to work in the tech industry. This will help everyone out there in the market who wants to work in technology and technology related services or products or any area into which you want to work. And by the end of this session, I want you to take away few important pointers, maybe few important questions, and few important takeaways, next steps for you to develop a product mindset, for you to uh, have that framework for you how you will develop the product mindset. With this, we'll start today's session. Quick introduction of myself. I'm Rahul, co-founder of PyCray Technologies. Along with me today, I have Mahesh also on the call. He is also co-founder and very experienced project come product manager, coming up with 12 plus years of experience delivering solutions and delivering product for multiple industries. Uh, we will quickly move to understand more on the point that features in the product which is developed, features which are thought by a PM, features which is required from the uh, sales team or required from the leadership, which is shipped, but no one asks about how it was developed. No one asked about why it was developed, right? So if you look at the header, right, like a feature shipped on time, under budget, and nobody used it, and no outcome was traced, and no KPIs was tracked, and it was only just for the sake of bringing something in time in the product. That is not going to help anyone, right? Mm, because one of the important thing here is to here you need to understand, and I can tell you with my experience. I have watched this happen in the real world products, real world teams, including our own when we were at when we were starting PyCray. The, the features which we developed and the metrics which we tried to map, the metrics said nothing because we were not thinking from the perspective that it is going to drive something. It is going to bring value. So so one of the important things here is to understand and ask. Basically, we need to ask ourselves these four questions, which you see as of now on the screen. That did anyone ask whether this feature solved a real problem? Did the engineer who built these features know what outcome it meant to drive? Did QA validate it against how users actually behave, or just the acceptance criteria written in the ticket, right? And this is one of that string that did anyone go back 2 weeks later in the retrospective sessions and checked it if it worked or not for the users? While I'm saying all these things, while I'm mentioning all these elements, it is well understood that every product features which is developed, which is thought through, has specific test cases attached to it for the feature to work. Positive scenarios, negative scenarios, we test all those elements, we test all those features according to the test case scenarios. But did we go ahead and think from the user side, right? That question we should always ask. And when the answer to all these four questions are not clear, right? Like what we as of now saw on the screen. When the answer to these questions are not clear, then think that you have built only a product, you have built only a feature which is there in the product, but it will never solve a problem for anyone. So everything which we are building should have something to be traced, a KPI or a metrics which we say to be traced, and it should solve a problem for someone who is out there trying to utilize that utilize that product and utilize that feature. Okay, from here everything starts, right? And we will understand in detail what is a product mindset all about, what is product thinking, right? uh, how will you be developing this, what all important elements of the product thinking which is there, we will define it in a better way, we will try to understand the nuances of it. Okay, and then we will understand the framework, how we will be building in our day-to-day task while we are working in any of the organization, while we join any organization, how and why we should be having it. Okay. So the first question which comes to our mind is, what is product thinking? If it is not a job title, what it is? What is how you will define this is basically with four important pointers which you can see on the screen. First is starting with the user orientation. uh, Not users as an abstract category, right? In general, a specific person or a persona, which we can say, which is a group of different behaviors, which you can say utilizes the user orientation. So, in a specific situation with a specific friction, what is that person is facing difficulty, and if you can't picture the person, you are not there. So here it is important for you to understand that persona, understand their pain points, understand what gains they will get out of the feature which you are developing. And before I go to next three pointers, let me tell you one thing. We have explained all of these different concepts of a persona, of a user, of a problem statement in our different sessions which we have conducted. Now, this is being the sixth session in the series. We have already covered a lot more detail about who is a persona, how to define that, how to think about a user, how to empathize for a user in our earlier sessions. And I'll request you to please go to our channel, YouTube channel. You will find all of these sessions present. Subscribe to it for the latest videos which is coming. And please go through these sessions for you to kind of understand what is what. We will cover important pointers corresponding to them, but not in details. For details, please go back to those sessions. Okay, so second outcome focuses the goal was never to ship a feature. The goal is to change a behavior, improve a metrics, or remove the problem. The feature is the mechanism, not the outcome. Uh, the goal is to change a behavior, move a metrics. Why do we say that? It is important that while we are utilizing these tools, while we are utilizing these features in our day-to-day activities, we need to understand more in detail about the user behavior, how they are coming, how they are utilizing these features, how they are how that problem, how that feature is solving the problem for them, right? uh, and how we can change that behavior, right? Like someone is coming on the platform, they are very much I always utilize this sign up, sign in, login, sign up, because it becomes very easy to kind of understand. If someone is uh, only only you, what I can say is only utilize their login IDs, like Gmail logins or mobile numbers. They are not used to creating some I- other method to kind of log into your or sign up to your platform. They will face difficulty if you try to tweak it. Now you have to do some research corresponding to that while you are developing this product. You need to understand how they will face challenge with your method, right? And how you will solve that problem for them, right? That is very important for you to understand. Note it down, discuss it with your team members, right? uh, Bring those pointers on the table, that how it will help, and then the corresponding metrics, right? That is very important to kind of understand, to kind of uh, build around it. Okay. Next is the measurement instinct. We are uh, I'm going bit slow here because these are some of the important parameters which we should be understanding while we are trying to understand the product mindset. The thinkers define success before they start. Now, success is nothing but those KPIs, right? Like those metrics, the North Star metrics which you have defined. You define success corresponding to it, like how it will perform, what all are the positives corresponding to that, and what all are the trade-offs, right? You need to understand. Uh, the thinkers decide what success look like before they start, and not after the product is launched. So you need to have that mindset that okay, if we will bring, so we will have 100 users on our platform from day one. We will have 100 sign-ups and logins. We will have thousands clicks on our platform. So those parameters are well understood and well defined. So you spend a lot of time analyzing those, that what is good fit for you, right? You kind of spend a lot of time on those elements. And lastly is the trade-off literacy. Every feature is a choice against every other feature which you are thinking. So there is a lot of feature which will go in the backlog, which the product managers will think, and product thinker is comfortable saying that we can't build everything. Now, this is very important to develop because it we as a technology person, we as someone who is solving problem, we are always used to the fact that we will do everything for everyone. and that is not right. We cannot solve every problem. We have to be very specific in terms of our user selection, in terms of our persona selection, and solving specific problems for them. So it is very important for you to understand this point, that there is a trade-off at every point. And while you are solving some problem, while you are building some features, the above three pointers, user orientation, outcome focus, and the measurement, will help you to drill down, to come down to the fourth pointer, wherein you will understand that, okay, this feature is important and that is not important as of now. Not every time you will be correct. I am putting this in star marks, but while you are doing this, every time you will understand that how it is going through, how basically how you are solving that problem. Okay, so I'll pause a bit here for you to kind of think about these four pointers, and we will explain bit detail from this slide, wherein same team, same task, but the approach is different. Approach is from feature builder, and then approach is from product thinker perspective. Okay, so it is important for everyone to understand this slide much more in detail, this section much more in detail, because I am kind of putting it side by side, where you will understand only if we are building features, if we are only a feature builder, what is what, and if we are product thinker, how we will think about it. So point number one being, so I'll pause a bit, and then I will kind of ask you to first go through all these pointers by yourself and think what is the difference between the feature builder and the product thinker, right? And then what we will do is we will understand each one of them in details. So let's start. The feature builder reads the ticket and builds exactly what it says. Now, by this, what does it mean? Uh, for them, the success of any feature, the success of any feature is closing that ticket. That is, develop, test. If test cases pass, merge the code with the main block and close the ticket, right? So point number two explains that the success is only ticket, close the ticket, that's all. Open the ticket and close the ticket. In between that, they will do their task, and they are done. They never ask who the user is. They never try to understand the user persona. They never try to understand the behavior of those user persona. They never try to understand and analyze what all are the pain points which they are trying to solve from that feature. They don't know what the feature was even meant to change, right? Like, they don't even understand that point. They are only thinking from a perspective that, okay, I have got something to solve, I will solve it, and that is done. My task is over. And and it becomes expensive in terms of, while there is a lot of investment which goes behind those feature building, in terms of putting in those hours, and then the research behind it, because because they never learned anything. The team members learns nothing. The product get no value benefits in terms of solving that problem, and their users are also not satisfied what is being built, and they keep on doing it in sprint per sprint. So every sprint they do the same thing. The feature builders, right? Now we will understand the product thinkers. The product thinkers read the ticket. They try to analyze and understand, right? They ask those questions, right? Like, what is the user behavior? What we are trying to solve here, and why? That why question, and we have learned a lot about these five why frameworks, which is very important in the technology organizations for you to have to think critically to solve the problem. The five why frameworks again become important. And here it is why I am always saying, please go back to some of the sessions which we have conducted. In our last to last session, we covered 5 why framework in very detail. Go back to that, learn from there, come here, you will understand why I'm saying so. Okay. So for a product builder, the success is understanding what behavior they are trying to solve, understanding what actually is changing in the product, which in the feature which they are building from the user side point of view, from the persona side point of view. They know who the user is and what they are struggling with. While I am saying this important point, it is always important for us to understand the two sides. If we are building a product, we are trying to solve some problem for someone. I'll give here a very small example. Go back or log into our product review loop and try to see one or two of the features which is there, right? Like one of the feature is you can put your product catalog on the QR code, right? While you visit any restaurant, have you seen that there are five, six, seven, eight different QR codes which they will ask you to scan and then log in and then put. One of them is for review, one of them is for product catalog, one of them is for order and whatnot. So while we were building this, we tried to understand the user's pain point. My pain point, I am as a user, my pain point there was that I just need one scanner where I can do everything. My pain point was I'm scanning like five different, six different QR codes. So that's how we understood the user behavior. That's how we understood what challenges which they were facing. And we started thinking from that angle. Not just that we have to build something, we have to build some feature, right? We try to understand the struggle of the user. And that's how you need to think, right? That's very important. Uh, they know who the user is and what they are struggling with. They know exactly. Now we are talking about the product builders. They know what their user is exactly struggling from, and they try to solve that problem. So with this, we understood that how a feature builder thinks, someone who is only there to kind of build a feature without understanding the user behavior, without understanding the pain points which they are solving, without understanding the problem statement in details which they are solving, is different from a product thinker, right? We think a product thinker always thinks from the user side point of view. Okay. Now, if you will understand that both of them have same skill, they are working on the same code base, but the value which they are delivering is completely different. And that's the gap which we are trying to solve today, which we are trying to understand. And a skill which we wanted to inculcate in you, whoever is watching us, that how it will help you in your day and day in and day out activities. Now, with this, we will talk about five different roles. We have talked a lot about what skills are required to perform good in these roles. What skills are required to be a good fit for these roles in our earlier sessions. And again, I will ask you to kind of please go back to our YouTube channel and subscribe to it. Watch these videos. During the start of this session, I mentioned that this is this is not just for PMs. So let's go role by role, starting from front end engineer, because product thinking shows up differently depending on your role, right? A front end engineer, you decided. For a front end engineer, let's think in this way. You need to understand the complete workflow. You need to understand how your feature, because everyone who will come on this platform, the platform which you are developing, they will you will try to solve their problem in a way that it reduces that workflow for any task to be completed. So let's take an example. While you go on ordering something on Zepto or Blinkit, right? If the steps increases, so you go on the Zepto page, you log in, you see the product catalogs, you wanted to order a Diet Coke, you selected a Diet Coke, you saw, then you were redirected to a page where you saw the price, and then once you click pay, you were redirected to any of the application, Google Play, Pay, maybe Paytm or anything. And then once the payment is done, you come back to the same page. Now, this is the same steps which you will see on different platform, irrespective of how many items which you are ordering, what is the cart size in terms of value and volume, right? Most of the platforms which you will analyze has same workflow. Now, if someone is creating similar platform and if someone is reducing that workflow from the front end side point of view, right? Then what you will do is you will create value for your customer. And this is how you need to think while you are designing. You will be provided a design from the design team, which which will be thought through. But as a front end engineer, you also need to think more in details. Now I am giving these examples, live examples, because you should start thinking like a front from a front end engineer mindset. Start critically analyzing the task which you will do. Now, what I have currently explained was just an example, but similarly you have to think. So there is for every workflow, for everything which you will do, there will be a goal. And if you don't understand the user goal, you can't make the you can't make the 100 small calls that every spec is required to perform, that every spec is anticipated to do. You will not be able to make it good for the user, right? So it is very important. Think twice before you start writing any piece of code. Next is the backend engineer. Uh, for a backend engineer, you need to have that mindset, the critical mindset, wherein you should understand the data structures, the data models also, like how the data is modeled. So let's take an example. We will take a example of simple example. Uh, any ride hailing platform, Ola, Uber, anything, Rapido, anything, easy to go, which is there in market, anything. So if you will think from a driver's perspective, and me as a driver, if I have to log into the platform, and every time if I have to uh, if I have to log in and it is taking me time, let's take an example, 1 minute to get into the platform, right? Uh, and once I have logged in, it takes me time to kind of get any ride. Okay. Uh, why? Because the driver ID which is created, which is created and which is getting stored in the backend, uh, is not very easily syncing in the system, right? because there are six different APIs which is getting called. Now, I'm taking this example for you to kind of understand any API system. APIs are integrated from the front end and it communicates with the database. A bit of technical, please bear with me with this example. But if it is taking a lot of time to kind of communicate, right? Then the user will not get the optimum result. They will not be happy with your platform. So how a product thinker will understand this? The product thinker will thinking will stop you from building something which is not flawless, right? Uh, you will come to this point that okay, it is taking me time. I as a user will face difficulty. So what to do in that scenario? Do I need to change the table structure? Do I need to change the calls? Do I need to change the API structure? Do I need to change how it will communicate with the front end? So you start thinking critically, you start thinking like a problem solver, and then you will build that feature, then you will build that API, then you will build that backend. Okay. That is very important for you to do as a backend engineer. For a QA, you can now for a QA, let's think uh, that you did testing on 100 plus test cases for any platform which you are working on, and you have tested 100 edge cases, but you have not tested those cases which is related to your user, right? Which is related to your user behavior. Okay. uh, this will then once your user come to your platform, they will not have a good experience. So your work is to understand the user's behavior and then create those test cases, then create those edge cases, create those business cases, right? Which may get failed. Okay. And that will help you to make it more user friendly, to make it more flawless. Also think like a what I can say, like a someone who can break the platform. So if you are a QA, you should be thinking from that angle, and then those edge cases also you should be bringing in, so that if someone is trying to break the platform, some hacker is trying to break the platform, how you will detect them, how you will understand that behavior. For you need to think in all direction. Okay. Next is the project manager. So every timeline and scope decision carries a uh, uh, hidden product trade-off. Understanding product thinking is what makes you good at deciding what to cut, what to keep, and what to move ahead with. Right? That is very important for you. You need to think from the budget side point of view also. You need to think from the user side point of view also. You need to think from the stakeholder. Your stakeholders are your internal team, your external customer, to whoever you are shipping this product or shipping this feature. You need to think from all angles. Okay. And then taking those right decisions. For a business system analyst, you are the bridge between the technology team and the business team. Business means your users who will be utilizing your platform day in and day out. So let's take an example. We'll again take the ride hailing platform like Ola, Uber. For them, their users are the customers, the drivers, the third parties, which is there on the platform, right? So they need to think from their angle. For him, they are their business users, right? So they need to the business system analyst need to think from that point of view. If you're not thinking about the end user's actual workflow, your features will will always be practically useless, right? It will not deliver value to your user, to your customers. Your customers are the business users. Let them be anyone, right? So all five roles here which we have covered, there are different roles which is there. Maybe DevOps and backend. We have already discussed about this, that everything which is related to backend is covered inside the backend engineering. So all of these roles make product decision every single day, and and whether you realize it or not, you are the makers of the product, you are the builders of the product. You need to think from all angles. You need to think holistically, and for that you need to have the product mindset very clearly inculcated in you. You need to practice it. uh, before we before we move ahead, we need to talk about the three question framework, which is very important for you to understand. This is one of the core takeaways of today's session, right? It is very important for you to think it, understand it properly, uh, and then practice it, right? So the first question is, who specifically has this problem? Now, we have discussed in detail about understanding, redefining the problem statements. Uh, you while you are building any feature, try to ask this question: for whom I am specifically solving this problem? And now this start from the point that you need to start understanding your users, start understanding your persona in details. And how will you do that? You need to ask those questions, like who specifically has this problem, and then list down the problem. You need to think it very specific to the user, right? And then if you want to drill it down, write one name, right? A specific person, be it anyone, write that name. Okay, maybe you can put yourself into that situation, right? Put yourself into that problem. What frictions which you are facing? The more specific uh, here you will become, the more understanding of the problem you will get, and your solution will be more credible, right? We have understood in a lot more details about the problem and understanding, but this is how you need to think about any problem. Let's take an example: login feature on any platform as a problem. So if I am only login via utilizing a mobile number, think like, why only mobile number? Why not email ID, right? Why not anything else? And once you start asking these why questions, you will understand that what is that exact problem which you are trying to solve. Question 2 is, what did they do before this solution existed, right? What was the workaround for them? And if you will think from this perspective, this is one of the questions which is, we even think about, like we have seen 50-60% of the cases, people think about the problem, they do not skip that, but this question is mostly skipped. What did they do before the solution existed? We never think about this while we are not having that product mindset. And this is the one which is most important, because you start understanding those solutions which is existent in the market. You start analyzing those solutions. You start understanding that how someone was managing orders in a WhatsApp group. If you take that example, right? Like Jepto's example, Jepto started with that from a WhatsApp group delivery, right? If you are not having that understanding, please go and read about it. But yeah, it started. Like how did they manage it, the volume in the WhatsApp group, and then what solution they started finding corresponding to that issue which they were facing. And it will tell you, if you try to analyze bit more, it will tell you everything about the solution, and then you can build on top of that. And that is why this asking this question is important. Next is, how will you know if it worked or not? Okay. And for that, you need to have your metrics very clearly defined, right? Example here, for me, if I am having a platform like Blinkit, for me, numbers of users coming on my platform daily is one of the metrics. Volume of products which I am delivering is one of the metrics. Number of products which is listed in my catalog is one of my metrics. So this is how you need to think. What is your metrics for the product which you are building, for the features which you are building, right? We will again go back to that example of login and sign up, right? So for you, if you are writing a login sign up feature, for you, your metrics would be how many clicks and what was the drop down here. So someone is coming on your platform, they just click the sign up tab, and they were not able to sign up to the platform, right? They left that page. So for you, you need to analyze that. That is your metrics, right? So before you build anything, you need to think about it very clearly. You need to think about that success. Without a definition is uh, without a definition is just shipping and hopping, right? Your success is your metrics. That's why we say success metrics, North Star. We have understood these things also, but we will discuss about these how to build those metrics, what platform require what metrics in some of the sessions which we will conduct. But today, just understand from this point of view. And if you cannot answer all three of these questions, you are not building a product, you are building a feature in search of a problem, right? And right, and this will not never help anyone out there in the market, right? We have understood. I'll just skip this one. We have understood this in much more detail with examples, right? So we'll go another framework, the user story framework, which is also important while you are developing, while you are describing or developing any product, right? So a weak story, generally a weak feature, if you will receive from your product manager and if you're developing that, how it looks, it will be like, as a user I want to see my notification, as a user I want to filter my orders, as an admin I want to export data, right? These are some of the user stories, and these are some of the weak user stories which you will receive, right? So we talked about sign up feature, right? I want to sign up on the platform. Now this is a user story, right? Instead of that, if we start writing much more in detail, right? Like, as a salon owner who checked reviews during lunch, I want to respond to a new review under 30 seconds so I don't forget my evening. And now this is corresponding to that notification one, right? Similarly, if we will think about from the sign up login feature example, which we generally discuss as a user. So let's take an example. If you take an example of Blinkit, as a user, I want to buy a toothpaste, right? So I want to log into this platform, right? So that I can order toothpaste, right? That is one of the described user story or a strong user story. So you are writing it from the perspective of a user. We started, right? Everything starts from a user and the problems which they are facing. So user story should be very well defined. And if you are a developer and you are receiving these user stories from your product manager, from here it starts. You need to go back to them and tell them that we want a user story which is very well defined. If it is not well defined, you should put that in words and ask them that is this the correct user story, or let them create that user story in detail and provide it to you, right? The next two, I will leave it for you to practice, but uh, think it from the user, how it will solve that problem, how it will solve their problem, how the user can attach themselves with the user story. So, lastly, but before I go to the next section, strong user story names the person, the constraints they are facing, and the outcome they need, right? And we have already discussed the CARE framework in some of our earlier sessions: context, action, and result. You think a user from CAR, and then you write your user story. It is exactly same, right? So it will be very easy for you to then understand and develop that feature, right? We'll go to the next section, the outcome mapping, right? Wherein you need to understand outcomes of your daily task. And this also we have discussed in a bit detail. So every ticket which you work upon, which you pick up, connect to a business outcome, right? The question is, do you actually know which one, right? You need to trace that chain every time. Every time you need to understand what you are fixing, what will be the outcome of that fix, right? How it will impact you, right? So, and then what is the product outcome? We discussed this in detail, right? Like how to map that outcome uh, with the examples, right? Then the business outcomes. Business outcomes means how that problem will solve the challenges of the user, right? How that feature will solve the challenges of the user, right? So let's trace one chain. Here we will take an example, maybe any example, and we can say that okay, a sign up feature which was present on that platform any day, it was not helping user to log in, and every day we were receiving like 60% to 50, more than 50% dropouts from the platform. Anyone who was coming on the platform, they were just clicking the login on sign up and then leaving that platform. We understood that challenge, and then we understood that we need to fix it in the UI, right? Fix the UI on the mobile application. And to reduce the friction, we only need to keep a login via mobile number, right? This is the solution which we understood. And this will help us increase the response from 20% to 65%, or from 40% to 65%, or 70%, right? That is the metrics which we are tracking, right? And which will connect to the business outcome, that we will be able to retain more than more than 25% of our users who is logging onto our platform, who is trying to log in onto our platform. So this way you have to start thinking everyday task by attaching the frameworks which we have learned, right? By attaching the outcomes which we have to drive. And why does this matter is because the answer changes every decision which we will be taking in terms of solutioning, in terms of writing that code, in terms of developing that feature, in terms of testing it, everything. Involvement of your stakeholders for a PM, everything changes, right? So, so thinking about that business outcome is very important. We have understood role by role earlier, so I'll skip this one. Anti patterns, right? The four way. Why what we say is a smart engineer who is working in a product organization wherein they are just doing their development without understanding, without having the product mindset is these four. So the first one being the gold platter, right? What they do is they build a technically beautiful solution to a problem, and nobody validated it, right? So it is like, let's take an example. You are building a front end application wherein you have 5 6 different pages, wherein you need paginations. Also paginations means you need different pages on the platform, uh, but nobody has validated it from the user point of view. That becomes a feature, that becomes a spec which is developed, wherein you have spent a lot of time. Your engineer who is smart has spent a lot of time. Yes, you have spent amounts, right? Like in terms of time, in terms of money, but you have not got anything out of it, right? Similarly, the spec follower, they execute exactly what the ticket says, and no more. Never ask why questions. They sip the features that are correct, but they are useless, right? Next is the speed optimizer. They optimize the time which they are taking to build the features. They close a lot of ticket, right? Like in today's world, while you are utilizing, augmenting your work with AI, you will see most of them are speed optimizers, right? They are closing ticket like 100 tickets in a day, but no metrics is attached to it. If you face any difficulty, if you face any challenge, and you go back to kind of solving that problem, you create a lot many problems, you create a lot many challenges in the codes, because you are utilizing it without understanding, right? And honestly, like 60 70% of the cases is this one. And this is the most common failure which you will see in any team. And last one is the assumption stacker, right? Who builds on chain of unchecked assumptions, right? What user want, they never talk about the user, they never check the data, and they ship the product, they ship the feature, which lands in the no man's land, which I can say. So it is not built for any user, it is just there. It looks beautiful, it looks validated, but it is of no use. So these are some of the anti-patterns for you to kind of think, understand, uh, and think twice before you start shipping any feature. Okay. This we have understood that every role require the product mindset. Everything which we do need the product mindset. And before we end this session today, I want to mention this point very clearly, that we at PyCray run a program called PyCray Forge, which is where we teach all these pointers very clearly in detail. We teach you how to understand the product development in details, and it is not a boot camp, which I can say. It is where you come and work with the product team. You work on the real world products. Maybe one of the example is easy to go, right? It is not you are solving something which is a use case. You are working in and day out. You are trying to understand the different aspects of the technological product building, the front end, the back end, the bugs which is coming up from day one, right? In your training in itself, you understand that. And then post you complete the training, you even get an internship. So to understand more that in details, please log in and visit it to our PyCray Forge page, which is present on our website, and you will find the link in the chat. Please go and check. It is a basically 4 month program, 2 months of training, and then once you get an internship, it is 2 months of internship. Okay. Uh, I'll not spend more time explaining that because I want you to do three things in this week. Three things which you take from this session, right? First one being, document your best project using three questions frameworks which we have learned. First is, who has this problem? What did they do before, right? And third being, how would you know if it worked or not? If you can't answer all of the three, find out before you present that project to anyone. Spend time, spend productive time in doing this activity. Okay. Second, talk to one person who actually has the problem you are solving. A real world example. Take a real world example. Talk to your friend if they are utilizing some of the platforms. It is not a survey, a 20-minute conversation or a 10-minute conversation or a 15-minute conversation. I have just put 20 minutes as an example, but you can spend time in which you need to understand and ask them three things. What is the hardest part of this uh, for you? What have you tried before? What would you make this better? And rather than you talking, listen to the user, right? Spend time in listening. They will give you a lot of cues. They will give you a lot of problems which they are facing, which you would have even not thought about, right? That is very important for you to take a note. Third is, add a success matrix to any ticket which you are trying to solve. Now, while I am saying this, even while you're doing a project, right? You are not working in any organization wherein you get something, you get work like a ticket. While we utilize ticket as an example here in the complete session, think of any problem which you are solving, anything which you are doing. Whatever you are working on right now, add one line, right? And this is that. This will have worked if, then put the specific metrics, changes by amount, timeline, anything. Show it to your friends, show it to your team members, take their feedback, and try to analyze it. This all three will help you become a product thinker. Okay, product thinking is not just a personality type, it's a habit. Habit are not built in a day, it takes time. Habits are built by doing the same thing deliberately, repeatedly, over a period of time. Start it with this week, and maybe we'll meet next week again with one new topic to understand from the PyCray 4 session. Thanks. Thanks everyone for joining in, and hope to see you again in next session.